Hey guys, Gen3D Tech here. Today we're checking out the Dornfinger Rawpad V2. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright guys, so we got the Dornfinger Rawpad version 2 here, and I ordered it about a month ago, and I've been using it off and on for the last few weeks, comparing it to the V1, which actually it's quite a bit different than the V1, even though looks wise it pretty much looks similar. The stitching is definitely tighter. The surface is actually improved on this, and I believe when they first came out with the Rawpad, this was the actual surface that they thought they were getting, but when they got the final product they got something else, which was the V1. So the V2 is them getting what they initially wanted from the get-go. Now, I did like the V1 quite a bit, but there were some people that complained that the surface wore out. That wasn't my experience. I still have the V1, I still use it, and the surface has held up, but I can't discount that. So even Hardware Unplugged, Carlos, the beast who can wear out any pad, definitely wore a spot out on the pad on that surface. I don't know if that was a defect, but anyways, that was a completely different surface. They are similar, but this is definitely a faster, tighter weave on the surface. Stitching wise, they also improved the stitching. It's definitely smaller and tighter stitching. Overall, it looks nicer. However, the stitching is still above the pad, so you do hit it still. I would like to see it lowered a little bit so it's below the pad level. The base pretty much the same as it was before, just a standard textured rubber base. Foam wise, it's still 4mm thick. It's got the same amount of give as the V1. I'll bring that out here in just a second and we'll go over that and compare the two. And of course it has the Dornfinger logo here on the side. The initial batch I think was really small and it sold out pretty quickly. I'm guessing maybe they did a small order because they were worried they weren't going to get what they were hoping to get again. But this is definitely the pad that they initially wanted to release as the Rawpad. And since it was a small release, it only came in one size. The V1 has a smaller size, and then it has this massive 540 by 540. And this only launched on 540 by 540. However, I did get confirmation from Dornfinger that on their next drop that they will have smaller size versions of this pad besides the 540 by 540, and they'll also have a version of this pad with a design on it. I believe even several different designs if I recall the conversation right, but the one design I did see was really cool. I think you're all gonna like it. Unfortunately, I can't show what it looks like, but I believe he's going to release some pictures of it very soon. Now, here's the original V1 of the Rawpad. And as you can see, they are very similar looking. Slightly different tone of black. This one looks a little bit darker. Right here, this is the V1, and this is the V2 right here. Similar but different. And right here, the V2 and the V1, you can see the stitch sides are smaller on the V2 and tighter, and they're quite a bit bigger and not as tight on the V1. Definitely a big improvement on the stitching. Stitching is actually really nice on the Rawpad V2. So I'll use two mice to compare the different types of feet. We got PTFE and glass. So right here, this is the V2. As you can see, it's fairly speedy. And then the V1 here. And then glass. So what I definitely notice is that there's definitely more stopping power on the new V2. Both have very low initial friction, but I would say the V2 has slightly less initial friction. The swipes definitely feel more controlled on the V2, which tracks in game for me. So I did really well with the V2. I never lost anybody when once I had them locked on. I wasn't gonna lose them at all. Now the V1 has been a favorite pad of mine over the last few months, and it's a really good pad. So don't get me wrong, I don't have anything bad to say about the V1 personally. It's still a good pad, and you can still buy it. So, however, the V1 is only available in 483 by 420 millimeter currently. I don't know if he's ever going to get any more of the V1 in stock of the 540 by 540 like this. I believe they might have it available at Amazon still. I'd have to look. If it is, I'll put it in the description if you're interested in a V1. But like I said, V2 is what the pad was originally intended to be, and it's definitely an improvement in my opinion on an already really good pad. I really liked the raw pad, and I definitely championed it over the last few months. And it did not get very many reviews, sadly, so it kind of flew under the radar. And I'm sad to say that this V2 is probably falling under the radar too. However, I'm hoping to change that because this is a really good pad. And I'll definitely be bugging some of the resellers to try and carry it because I'd like to see this readily available in North America because this is a really good control pad. And when you see these really killer designs, I think you're going to like it. They're definitely different than other designs that I've seen. They kind of take a different direction. Without seeing it, I can't really explain it, but when you see it, you'll know what I mean. Now, is this my favorite control pad that I have? It's super, super close. I mean, we're just splitting hairs here, but if you just saw my review for the Padsmith control pad, I like that one just a hair better, mostly because it just has a softer base, which I prefer. But I will say this feels more like a mid base, which can actually lead to slightly better performance. And don't get me wrong, I performed exceptionally well on this pad. This pad is one of the best control pads I've ever tried, and I only like the Padsmith one just a hair better because it's so similar in performance wise. I might perform just a hair better with this though, but I find the Padsmith pad is just a tad bit more comfortable, and it has a killer design. And I'm going to do my best to get a hold of one of the new V2s that have a design, because like I said, I already love this pad a whole lot. Now I almost forgot, there's also the Dornfinger Soft Cadora control pad, and performance wise, that's probably the best control pad I've ever tried. It is just not very comfortable because it has a very rough surface. You have to wear a long sleeve, or you just have, skin that doesn't get bothered by that. But I definitely don't enjoy the feel of that pad, but boy does it perform amazingly well. You just have to try it to believe it. There's going to be some other reviewers reviewing that pad finally soon, so hopefully you'll be able to see somebody else's opinion besides mine, so you can see I'm not just talking out of my ass. But having said that, I would probably use this pad or the Padsmith pad over that control pad, just because for me, comfort is very important to me, and also price. The soft Cadora pads are a little expensive. They're gonna probably run you about $15-20 more than this pad or the Padsmith pad, especially when you add in the shipping. This would actually be the cheapest of all three pads if you can get decent shipping prices. So for the EU customers, this is probably the best option if you're looking for an affordable control pad. That's one of the best on the market. But for EU customers, the soft Cadora is still the best pick for pure performance wise, and you should be able to get it for decent shipping prices if you're in the EU. North America, again, like I said, Padsmith is probably going to be your cheapest option, and it's just a great all-around pad. When you add the shipping on this, it'll be similar to the Padsmith pad, I believe. But hopefully one of the resellers like Lethal Gaming Gear might pick this one up. Hint, hint, if you're watching this, then this would definitely be an affordable pad, because it'll probably be around $30 when you add the conversion, maybe $35 if they have to do a markup, which is normal because they have to also cover some extra shipping to get it to North America. At that price, and this size, 540 by 540, this is an awesome pad. I definitely would like to get this pad in the hands of Carlos over at Hardware Unplugged, just to test the durability of it. So I don't know, maybe I'll send this pad to him, but I kind of don't want to, because it may not come back the same. But maybe I can talk them into getting one, or have Dornfinger send one to them. Alright, besides the comparing it to the V1, I also wanted to compare this Rawpad V2 to some other pads that has similar characteristics too. And one of the first ones is the very popular Saturn. I would say the Saturn is just a little bit faster, and the Rawpad V2 has a little bit more stopping power. The Rawpad is also a little bit smoother feeling than the Saturn. And then there's a stitching comparison. You can see the stitching is a little bit smaller on the Rawpad. They're both very nice though, stitching wise. Anyways, if you do like the Saturn, you might like the Rawpad. But like I said, it is a little bit slower and has a little bit more control in my opinion. And I do like the way that the Rawpad feels on my skin a little bit better than the Saturn. But the Saturn is definitely a banger and pad, and super popular. And I don't have the Pro Series pads yet. Hopefully I'll be getting some from Lethal Gaming Gear to test out soon, and when I do, I will definitely have that on the channel. Another pad that's very similar is the Padsmith Temple of Dreams pad that I just reviewed recently. Both pads feel very similar on the skin, both very pleasant. They're actually very similar in speeds also. I would say though, stitching wise, I give it the edge on the Rawpad. There's a bit more cushion though on the Padsmith pad. I do know that the initial version of this was a little bit harder. It was more of a medium, and I believe that medium would feel even more similar to the Rawpad. Of course, this has a beautiful design, and it's worth it just for the design alone. And this is one of my favorite overall control pads for sure. And if the Rawpad had a design on it, it would be even closer. I love both of these pads as far as control pads. And like I said earlier in the video, there are designs coming out for this pad. And as soon as I have some available to show, I will definitely show you those. Another pad that I just got is the Gamesense Rader V3 4mm. And I've been using this pad a lot the last couple days, and I really enjoyed it. They've definitely improved it, and the 4mm makes the surface feel, I don't know, it just makes it feel better. I like it quite a bit more. I have the V2 3mm version, and it just feels completely different to this. It also looks pretty amazing. I love this blue and this design, and the stitching on it is really improved. If you take a close look, you'll see the stitching on the new radar is pretty damn good. I'll definitely have a review on this real soon. I think I ordered this back in either March or April, so it took a long time to get, but it's definitely been worth the wait. Check back soon, and I'll definitely have a review on this. But feeling wise, believe it or not, the new radar feels a little bit faster than the Rawpad. Both feel real nice on the skin though. So if you're looking for something a little bit slower than the Saturn and a Radar V3, then Rawpad might be what you're looking for. So this is an uncoated cloth pad, so humidity will affect it. Again, as I always say in my videos, I have a nice climate controlled environment, so humidity is typically not an issue. And I also don't have a sweating issue, but we'll put a little bit of water on it. The weave's pretty tight, so it actually takes quite a while for it to absorb. Surface-wise, I don't feel any difference when it gets wet, and it dries really fast. Cleaning this pad, it's already gotten dirty a couple times for my kids and my cats. Just a little bit of hot, warm water on a washcloth works perfectly fine on this pad. So if you're in a real humid environment, again, I always recommend a synthetic cloth. But as far as cloth pads go, this one handles humidity pretty good, I would say. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, even if you sweat a lot or you have a lot of humidity in your area. I think this pad will hold up pretty good. Again, so this is the 540 by 540, and it does come in the 483 by 420 size. So if you want something a little bit smaller, they have that. And the smaller size is only basically 20 euros, and the larger size is 25 euros, which I believe for what you get, that's a pretty affordable pad. If you're in the EU, it's definitely a really good deal. But again, with the shipping, it will raise the price to where it's not as competitive to other things like the Radar and the Saturn, for example. But hopefully some other North American reseller like Lethal Gaming Gear will pick it up and sell it, or Dornfinger in the past has sold things on Amazon, so perhaps it'll be available on Amazon. I'll definitely update the description if that comes the case. Anyways, that's about it for this review. I hope you enjoyed it and found it informative. If you did, please leave a like. It always helps. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead. If not, no big deal. Doesn't matter to me. And I got lots more reviews, tons more mouse pads, of course, lots of new mice. I got to do a review on this M42 wireless eventually. Good mouse. Just got to do a review on it. And tons more mice coming. So stay tuned for lots of cool reviews coming. And I'll see you on the next one. Later.